The Koalition.
So the first story is about Fortnite. This is a game that I did get a chance to play at E3 last year, and I thought the game was great. I thought it was fantastic. You know, obviously it did release last year. You know, not the finished version because they're still adding updates to it, so on and so forth. But the news about Fortnite is that this week it hit 3.4 million concurrent players. Obviously due to the Battle Royale mode that they added. But as a result of that, they were unable to handle the pressure. And I believe they had some server issues. So, Gary, feel free to let everybody know more about this particular story in regards to what exactly happened with Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, since Fortnite released this Battle Royale mode, the game has kind of blown up because, like, let's be real, the original Fortnite that they brought out and, planned to be like the big game and everything, that was very short-lived. But once they put in the Battle Royale mode, that's when it blew up. And I didn't know this until like a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, really. But Fortnite Battle Royale is completely free, and you can just go download it on PC. And I've seen, like, when I got PUBG, I started like checking streams and stuff of people, playing PUBG. And I slowly started to notice a lot of those PUBG Twitch streamers were converting over to Fortnite gradually. Like, one of the main ones that I followed, now they exclusively play Fortnite. And there's actually like behind the scenes talk of Epic might actually be like paying some of these streamers or incentivizing them to stream Fortnite instead of PUBG. But who knows it? That's just a rumor. That might not be true, but that's just allegedly. But I could see that being the case. It could be could be accurate. But the game does look fun. I've seen people stream it. It does seem like a lot of fun. I see the appeal of it, and I think this is great for Epic Games. And I've also seen that Epic Games is actually shutting down one of their other games, Paragon. I remember when that game came out, and that had a big fan base for a while. But now it seems like Fortnite has kind of taken over, and now it has, the numbers that they really want. And they've kind of shut down the other game, and supposedly they might be transferring some of the team from that game over to Fortnite to help improve that game. So this is great news for them. And I've thought about getting into Fortnite myself on numerous occasions, but just my time management skills are a bit sloppy at the moment. I have a lot going on, so I don't think it's a good time for me to get into another online game. But it does look fun, so this is good news for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great news for them. Obviously, it said that they couldn't really handle the pressure of the numbers rising. They probably need to address and fix that moving forward so that they are able to better accommodate everybody that wants to get into the game. But I mean, it's good news for them. And I mean, I think, and we will talk about PUBG here shortly, but I think, when PUBG was made, they knew that idea, that particular mode was probably going to become something that a lot of people were going to use. So I know they were pretty angry about the Fortnite stuff to some extent, but really can't be too angry, because if you're doing a good job of the mode that you're offering and with your game, then you shouldn't be worried about the competition outdoing you. If they do outdo you, well, then, you release another update, try and do some other things to your game to make it even better. But that's just my opinion. But Max, what are your thoughts on Fortnite? I know that you've been playing it. Well, you did play it when it first came out on back last year on consoles. But what do you think about this news?
Yep. Yeah, I was like an OG Fortnite fanboy back when they did the PvE stuff, which I still think is fun as hell, even though I haven't played the game in a long time just because I haven't had time to. But I think the PvE stuff is fun as hell, even though that has obviously taken a backseat to a lot of the Battle Royale stuff, which makes sense. I understand that. But I think it's good for them because, to me, PUBG is still like it's still very early access, even though it's come out officially. I still feel like that game needs a lot of work. I feel like they made it quote unquote release just to like kind of get the name out there more and just try and like stand up against Fortnite, because Fortnite, the thing is, Fortnite was made by Epic Games, which like know how to make a game very well. You know, it's not buggy. It's a very well polished game. You know, there's a lot of extra stuff to it as well. Like the building mechanics that were in the PvE, that being thrown into the PvP stuff was really cool. I remember when they sent out the press release, they literally, this wasn't built up or anything. They were like, oh, we're adding a battle royale mode in like 2 days. And everyone was like, what the fuck? Like, that's not going to work. Like, what? And they originally at that point, the game was like $60 too, or like it was 40 or something. And you had to buy into it too. And it was going to become free to play in 2018 summer when it officially released. So they kind of just took like a giant U-turn with this whole Fortnite stuff. So it makes a lot of sense that it's now like bigger. Is it bigger than PUBG? Like, doesn't it have more concurrent players now or something like that? Anyways, the fact that it has, which is crazy. Like,
carry on. We'll get to that, but carry
on. It 3.4 million players is absolutely crazy. And, you know, it was on consoles first, but it beat PUBG to consoles. It was free to play. It's also on PS4, which PUBG isn't even on. And I know unless they fixed it recently, PUBG doesn't run very well on the one still. And, you know, it's also free to play on PC. And again, there's just a lot more to it. And there's even like, they've added so much, like since I've even last played it, like there's like a leveling up system now and stuff like that. So there's actually like incentive to play. Whereas in PUBG, I don't know if there necessarily is. So they've just done a lot more with like the genre. Like they've taken what PUBG established, even though they think they created the genre and they didn't. They've taken what PUBG has established and just like ran with it and made it a lot better and improved on it a lot. So I think that it's well deserved. I totally get why more people are jumping over to Fortnite.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with pretty much everything you had to say. And since you mentioned PUBG, we're also going to address this now as well. For the first time ever, PUBG has registered a decline in Steam player numbers. So, Gary, feel free to let us know more about what exactly is going on with PUBG and why this decline happened.
Yeah, so of course we know that last year they had like, you know, they had, I believe they had around 3 million also, like what Fortnite has. But you know, that number has been slowly declining, and that could be, you know, a number of different things, from the game not always performing well, the netcode not being great and everything, and just user trust really, because now, you know, they've gone from being, like Max said, they've gone from being an early access game to now being an official game, and players don't feel like they're getting that level of quality from as like a finished product kind of thing. So user trust probably has a lot to do with it also. And then of course Fortnite, which we were just talking about, that's eating a large number of their fan base, especially because the game is free on PC. So and you know, a lot of streamers have transitioned to Fortnite, so people are starting to see Fortnite become that you know, the main game that's seen in the battle royale genre now. Like Fortnite is slowly grabbing that title. So the more that happens, the more people are going to transition and try that out. And you know, once you get friends, you know, your friends are starting to play the game as well, you're going to transition with them as well. So I think all these things are, you know, what's happening to PUBG. And it's actually, I think it got as low as 27,000 players or something at one time, which is a really big decline when you consider they had millions at one point. So yeah, Max, what's your thoughts on that?
I didn't realize it was that drastic of a gap. Holy crap. Like I was saying beforehand, though, like I get it, like it makes sense to me, and for a lot of the reasons you just said, I feel like that's the reason people are starting to jump over to Fortnite, because it's like that's just what's going to happen when you have a better programmed game. And to me, a game with just more features in it in general, I feel like people are going to jump over to that. Another thing that I think makes people like Fortnite more is that I know PUBG games are like 40 minutes on average, and like they're just people that just like sit in the grass and just wait and you know, for like the game to end. In PUBG that doesn't happen. In PUBG the storm, like in Fortnite that doesn't happen as much. because the storm is much quicker. Like games only last like 20-25 minutes because the storm goes in much quicker. So players are constantly having to move. They can't just sit prone in one area until everyone else dies and then just finish it off, you know. They have to actually keep fighting and doing things, and like things are always going on. So it's also just a much more fun game to watch. I think that's also why streamers are starting to head over to it, because it's just more engaging for like their fan base and stuff like that as well. Like things are just going on at all times. So I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's very much true as well. Because on PUBG, like it like to a viewer it could be very boring because like you're just looting buildings and stuff like that. The most action you usually see is like at the beginning of the game when everyone's landing, because then that's when like you're more likely to run into fights. And then after that, like, you know, it's just literally looting and then traveling. Like there used to be streams of people just running through the fields for a long time, and then all of a sudden they get sniped, and then that's it. You know, like that's not always fun to watch. So yeah, Fortnite, it seems like something's always happening, and plus it has the building aspect as well. Like you can build stuff, and there's more going on in that game. And also like the article mentioned that and this is something I realized quickly when I played PUBG, but a lot of the user base were Chinese people, and I noticed that like instantly, like because you were always being paired up with, you know, Chinese speakers and everything like that, and they kind of basically ran that game. And apparently the game has been declining in popularity in China also, so I guess that makes sense that, you know, that there's that big decline, because as Chinese gamers move on to something else, who knows what they're playing at this point, but that was a large, you know, bulk of the audience itself. So I guess that makes even more sense.
Yeah, some very good points. I know when I played PUBG on Xbox, I played it prior to the latest update patches that are out there now. So I mean, the game is fine. You know, I didn't really understand the phenomenon of why it had all this hype behind it. A lot of people that I know that still play it religiously every day. You know, Gary, we're actually in a chat where a lot of people we know are actually playing this game. We get alerts all the time about PUBG, PUBG, PUBG. I mean, so I mean, I think it was expected it was going to have some declines at some point in time, but I mean, it's still talked about. So I mean, they haven't really completely fallen off yet. Now we'll see what happens as the year goes on. What they're going to do to continuously support the game. You know, one thing I've been saying about these multiplayer only games, I'm totally fine with the game as long as the support is there for the game. But you know, I also kind of don't like a lot of them because I know games like Evolve, this was the same type of situation with Evolve. You know, it was a game that came out, you know, then they tried to really sell people, you know, really kill with the sales. You know, you're selling the game, but then you have all this extra content you're charging people for as well. So I'm guessing that didn't do too well because that game is no longer here. We have Overwatch, which is another game, mainly multiplayer, doing phenomenal as well still. So there are some exceptions to the rule, but we'll see what happens in regards to PUBG. But the declining sales, I think there's going to be some drop off, but still, I still expect it to be popular. At least until there's something else out there that really takes everybody's attention completely away from the game. I don't know what that game is going to be yet. But hey, they're still making money, so they're still all right. They're not doom and gloom, but yeah, it is what it is. So, any other thoughts on Fortnite or PUBG before we move on to our next topic?
Yeah, just close it off. Like I just want to refer back to you know, something that we discussed last week. So yeah, like there was that rumor that Microsoft were going to buy PUBG, and as I mentioned, it might not be a good idea because the Battle Royale fad might be temporary. So like buying PUBG might not be a good investment for them right now because you know, the PUBG team, they're not going to sell for anything less than a few million, and maybe even more than, you know, maybe, well, I don't think it's worth billions actually, but yeah, like they're going to sell for a few M's at this point, but I don't think that's a good investment because once the battle royale thing gets run into the ground, then what does Microsoft do with the IP next? So yeah, I definitely think this is a very short-lived thing, and we're going to be discussing another game that could potentially have battle royale later on, and I have some more points to make then. But I think the whole battle royale craze is just a fad, and it may pass. So I don't think it's a good idea for Microsoft to buy PUBG at all. But the user base seems to be consistent on Xbox from what I can tell. But I don't think that's going to last too long either.
All right, I have to make a comment to what you just said, and Max can make a comment also if he wants to. I still think if there was an offer on the table, Microsoft should buy PUBG because number one, they don't really have too many games right now. We know that Sea of Thieves is coming next month. We know, there's another Halo and Gears that are in the works. And we also know that they still have State of Decay 2 also coming this year. But outside of that, if they were in a position to buy PUBG, I think that that could still work out for them. But the thing I would say is if they do buy it, we already know Microsoft, I would think that they're going to add something to it. Now, again, we've spoke about this in the past. I didn't see anything specific to the Xbox version, and I felt like that was a missed opportunity. They didn't have no Halo skins, nothing in their version of PUBG that they easily could have added to it, and maybe they still will add to it down the road. But obviously, if they did invest into it, I would think that they're going to try and do a little bit more than just have it be the Battle Royale mode. They may try and do other things, maybe try to add other modes. So that's of course if they want to actually try other things besides just letting it work on its own. But my thought was if Microsoft does pay big money for that IP, there's no way they're just going to just let it just stay as is. They have to try and do something to change it and make it more profitable moving forward. But that's just my opinion. But as you said, it's the Battle Royale thing is in right now. It definitely won't be something that we're going to be talking about 5 to 10 years from now. At least I don't think so. So, yeah, I can see why they wouldn't buy it. That on the flip side of that, I could say that they have nothing to lose by buying that because they really don't have that many first party studios right now working on things. So anything they can buy and try and get exclusive to Xbox, I think that will be in their best interest. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely make a point, and I do think they would definitely have to add something to it if they did buy it. Like maybe you can get like a Covenant carbine or something, or a battle rifle from Halo or something like that. Like they just add some cool stuff to it, because it's a game where you can get a little silly and add different things to it, and breathe new life into it. But now that you said that, that also does make me think about Game Pass, and it would be cool if you were able to get PUBG for free on Game Pass if you were a subscriber. Like that would be cool, and that would probably make the user base go up even more. So yeah,
that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I know Max will definitely get Game Pass if he can get that for free.
False.
Yeah.
I do want Game Pass though, but I don't know when I would have the time to play the games on Game Pass. I also own majority of the ones that I would play, to be fair, and I still haven't even played those.
So does that mean that you'll be paying $60 for Sea of Thieves when it comes out next month?
I think I'm good on that one. I'll play it. I'll play it for review if like that ever happens for sites, but like that is not something that I will play for fun. I would play it for review just so I can shit on it. No.
Oh, whoa.
I obviously want Sea of Thieves to be good, and I would never just shit on it. But like, I don't know. I just don't have high hopes based on what I've played. Unless like what JJ is saying with Kingdom Hearts, like how there's a lot they haven't shown us, but like we think it still might be coming out anyways. Like JJ was talking to us before the stream off camera. He was saying he doesn't think like Kingdom Hearts will be coming because like they haven't shown us a lot, which like I get. But like if Sea of Thieves, if they're doing that with Sea of Thieves and actually just hiding a lot from it and there will be a lot in release, then okay, that'd be great. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think I'm starting to understand when Gary says when he goes to the movies and he sees a trailer, and then you see the movie, and then you realize that most of the stuff in the trailer was in the movie. I'm starting to understand why he don't want to see trailers.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes perfect sense when you describe it that way. But we'll see. But yeah, any final thoughts on this topic before we move on to the next?